WKHM.com. ThinkingRealEstate.com
I haven't heard you on the radio.
is on the air.
Thursdays.
Brought to you by ThinkingRealEstate.com.
Are we on?
You're on.
I had someone ask me about my radio career last night.
Do you have a radio career?
That's what I thought. I do. You do too.
They asked you how it was going?
Well, they said, well, what's happened? I don't hear you on the radio. And I said, well, I'm only on Thursdays. So apparently you need to have us on more often. I'm just saying.
That's fine.
So.
It'll be like our real estate career. It costs us money to be here.
But we get a pleasure out of informing
the public.
The public.
That's
our joy.
It's our half hour of spout off time.
And I'd ask you what you want to talk about, but you say the same thing every week.
How people should listen to the people that they hire to do a job.
Right.
Specifically.
Don't they do that?
No.
Okay. Well,
sometimes they do. It's helpful when they do. I mean, I said this last week, and I'll probably say it next week again. But we go into these appointments prepared usually, and have an idea of what something should sell for, and we usually have backup statistics and make an educated guess. And
best as we can.
A year later we become the bad guys because their house hasn't sold because of their needs and wants.
Because they didn't
listen to us. Right.
They didn't take down the things we told them to take down and pack up. Now, I will say, though, I've got some great clients that have done everything I've asked them to do.
Are you still doing staging on houses? Mm-hmm. Everyone?
If there's furniture in it. If there's no furniture in it, I don't stage it. Kind of hard to do.
So how would people get a hold of us?
787-3397. Or they can text. No, I'm sorry. They can email Mark at mark@thinkingrealestate.com.
But they could text as well.
They could. And your cell phone's
740-2028. That's sitting right next to me.
That was just too much for me to remember.
I like texting.
So I gotta talk about last night. I was dealing with a deal.
I didn't do that.
I didn't hear what you said. I was busy
I
talking.
said especially when I'm driving.
Oh yeah.
That's
I think that's illegal.
Sometimes I put my phone in the back seat so I can't get to it.
Oh, that's good.
It's just easier.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah. I know how I deal with things.
Yeah.
And it's easier to not have the temptation in front of me.
That's smart, Mark.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
We always forget, we want your business, so call us. Yeah. We should ask for people's business, don't you think?
Yeah, I appreciate their business.
Yeah, so we need listings, and if you're thinking about selling your house,
listen to us.
Call us.
Please.
No, they need to call us,
well,
not just listen to us.
But,
you will listen to them.
Call us first.
Right.
When we give them the bad news, it's going to hurt now or it's going to hurt later. And why prolong that?
Well, why is it always bad news?
Well, it's not. A lot of people, I went on a listing yesterday, and she paid $97,000 for the house, and it's listed just shy of 75, I think. She knew. She was fine. People aren't dumb, so I think most people know the market by now, especially those that have listened to our show. But anyhow,
my favorite phrase is, I'm not going to give it away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and that's their choice. I give them information, let them look at it, and they get to decide. But I'm not going to overprice. I'm not going to list it and overprice
I agree.
it. I don't have that kind of money to pay on marketing expenses because it costs us money. And we don't get paid until it closes. And if they don't sell, we've spent money on that marketing and time, and we don't get paid.
Do you think that people understand how we make our living? And I know that they generally don't care that much about how we make our living, but we don't earn anything. They do. I don't know whether people do or not.
Do you know how we make our living?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I do.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think they put it in perspective, though. I mean, when we take a listing, we take all the risk. All the risk. Now, the seller has to do the work, like keep the house clean and stuff like that, but we take all the risk because we're the ones putting the marketing dollars out, spending the time marketing that property.
And with a buyer too, we spend hours and hours and hours, schlepping them all over the county, sometimes more than one county, trying to find them a house, and then all of a sudden they're buying Aunt Pearl's house.
Does she have a little tag
Mini
on her
pearl?
hat.
I actually saw somebody somewhere recently with the head of they left the tag on their hat, and I'm thinking, is that on purpose?
Maybe. But anyhow, call us if you want to buy a
Yeehaw is
house,
bad.
or if you want to sell your house. We're short on good listings,
Right,
and now
Mark,
I
you
got
sound
just
a little disgruntled.
Well, no, I've had a
You're
couple.
not an angry real.
I think
Not
we
at
should
all. I
Google.
love my job. I really do love
we
my
should
job.
Google this. My son said like the moon was going eclipse or the sun or something, so that may be why we're having a few problems.
Could be, but I've had a couple things happen in the last couple of weeks with buyers and sellers that it's not a surprise, but it's difficult when I kind of feel like we're partners with our buyers and sellers, and when
That's how it should be.
yeah, it is.
We're friends. We're business partners, but then they become friends afterwards.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Sure.
And it's just difficult when we put ourselves out there day in and day out, and either we become, like I said, we become the bad guy when somebody's house doesn't sell after a year, when we've told them up front what it's going to sell for.
So I want to tell you about this deal that we were negotiating, and the house is priced perfectly. It's a great house, $180,000, great house on 2 acres, pole barn, over 1,700 square feet, I think, on the first floor with a full walkout basement. We get a deal to cut together, and Grandma tells the buyer that she thinks he's in over his head. Now, when I did the math, the house payment was $585 for a $180,000 house.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because of
And
interest
you
rate?
couldn't, huh?
Because of interest
Because
rate?
and that's with zero down. That was a rural development mortgage, zero down.
Wow.
And I calculated that at 4%
And
interest.
you can't rent for that.
Especially that type of house. That house would rent easily for $1,200, and that's taking the pole barn away. You could rent the barn separately. And Grandma's telling the kid, and I said to the other agent, point out that they can't rent for that. They couldn't even rent a mediocre place for $585. I don't think.
So,
Now they got to add
and
taxes and insurance. So
Is
now
Grandma
you're.
going to pay the bill?
I don't know.
Well,
But
why
I
is
think
Grandma
people.
involved? Is this your buyer?
No, not my buyer.
Your
My
seller.
seller.
Does the other buyer
I've
agent have... I'm confused by that one. How does Grandma know?
Well, Grandma's helping the grandson. And so, and I think justifiably, if you're helping someone, you're going to loan them some money or whatever the situation is. And Grandma's, hey, listen, I would never deprive my mother the opportunity to give Jackie or Teddy advice. Never.
Yeah, but your mother...
Or money.
Your mother sold real estate.
My mother did sell real
So
estate.
she would
but
actually have an educated
right.
opinion.
But, everybody's going to have somebody as a confidant in a transaction. But people should step back, especially buyers need to step back right now and say, I can buy a house for $585. Now, they're going to have to add taxes and insurance. So
Right.
that house payment's probably going to bump to $800. But still, to rent that house, it would be over $1,200.
So it's cheaper to own than it is to rent.
Yeah. And the house is built in 2000, so you're not going to, and it's a well-built house.
So there won't be a lot of deferred maintenance.
Nope.
Not a lot of money to be put in.
No, maintenance-free house.
I think you need to put Grandma in the car and take her out to see some of these places.
Well, and you know what? Someone
That's a
actually,
good
my
idea, actually.
seller,
I like that
my
idea.
seller suggested that idea, and I love it when sellers get involved with the transaction because they have. We can't think of everything.
You should take Grandma to see some rentals that are, $500 and $600 a month.
right.
That's a good
Exactly.
idea.
That is a great idea.
I like it.
I don't have grandma as my buyer though, so I can't. But I will suggest
put
it
her
to
in
the
your-
other agent.
You should put her in your convertible with your, so that her beehive sticks out the top.
Oh, there you go. So anyhow,
So- one thing that we brought up a couple weeks ago that I don't know whether you mentioned when I wasn't here, so I'll bring it up again. The time prior to this year, the time to file for your homestead exemption was always May 1st.
Ron Ellison was on.
And did you speak of that?
We did. That's all he talked about. But it's a good reminder.
I'm sure it was not all he spoke of.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but that was,
That was part of it.
So now
that was
there's
our main
two
subject.
times per year, June 1st and November 1st.
correct.
in order to file for your homestead exemption,
yep.
which is a nice thing.
And don't forget, if you own a home and you're selling it and you're buying another home in Michigan, this is all Michigan related, you can keep the homestead on the one you're selling as long as it's for sale and vacant. You haven't rented it. And then you buy another house in
And
Michigan.
how long is that exemption good
3
for?
years.
3 years?
Mhm. But you have to I think you have to renew it.
Every year.
I think you have to renew it every year by December 31st.
I actually had a buyer decline to put an offer on a foreclosure because the non-homestead taxes were $3,500 on a $100,000 purchase, and it was just, even with homesteading them, it's, it scared her.
Oh, yeah. Well, interest rates are below 4, I'm told, on a 30-year fixed. We got to get these buyers out there. Did you know that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are accelerating their short sale process? So
Are
if
you
there's
taking calls, by the way?
Sure. Do you have one?
Good morning.
There is a call.
Yeah.
I have a question on short sales.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
If you put in a bid and you have an accepted offer, does the seller usually talk with the bank first to find out what the bank will accept?
No.
No. And usually,
As far as that point.
yeah, hopefully you have a realtor involved or a short sale negotiator because it will go quicker and faster than if they're dealing directly with the seller.
No, it's with a realtor.
Okay, yeah. So the realtor will submit your offer with a bottom line statement that shows how much the bank is going to make, and then the bank will determine what they're going to do with that after that point. And what I was just about to say before you called is that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are changing their policy so that there will be an accepted offer within 60 days if it's one of those two.
The banks basically don't want to hear from me as a listing agent on a short sale until I have something to talk to them about. So unless I have an offer to show them, they don't want to hear from me.
Right, but if you have an offer,
Right.
and the sellers or the seller has accepted it,
Mm-hmm.
how do they come to that figure what the seller is asking for and if the bank's not involved?
Say that again?
Market value.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're going by market value, and then they're going to go to the bank and say, we have a buyer for X amount of dollars, will you accept this?
Yes,
Right.
and what the bank then will do, they hire someone to go out and put a value on the house independently. So once the offer goes in, usually a few weeks later after you've initiated the start of the short sale process, after I've initiated the short sale process, the bank is going to hire somebody to go out and do an independent valuation of the house that you're trying to buy. And sometimes they come in the same, sometimes the person who's doing the market analysis will say, yes, that $60,000 is exactly right, or it might be higher. I had one a couple weeks ago. The person that did the valuation actually came in higher than what I think it's worth, and the bank countered. So it becomes a negotiation. Sorry?
So the bank can counter with another offer.
Yes, they don't always do it, but yes, they can.
I think they counter more often than not, don't you think?
Yeah, we're hearing yes.
Yeah, Jackie does our short sales, and the bank will counter more often than not, and sometimes they'll require the seller to bring money to the table, and then we have to negotiate that part of the deal even separate from the transaction that's negotiated with you. However, I can guarantee you that the whole deal is not going to come together until the bank and the seller have come to terms on whether or not the seller has to bring money to the table or even pay back part of the loan on a promissory note.
Can the seller talk to the bank before they go ahead and offer a house on a short sale?
Sure.
Usually they do, because usually the seller has a reason for doing the short sale other than it's just time to move. They obviously are in over their heads. I mean, unless they've gotten a job transfer or need to move somewhere else for whatever reason in another area, they're selling the house because they can't afford it anymore. So usually they have had conversations with the banks because they're behind on their payments.
Right, and that's where it initiates. And then they tell them that the property's listed, and the banks like the short sale process better than the foreclosures.
Right. I was just wondering, once you got an accepted offer, how much haggling, how much haggling back and forth that happens after that, and the chances of having that deal go through.
Chances are good.
Yeah, it's just probably not going to be what you and the seller agreed to.
It might be though.
It could be, but more than likely it's not.
It could be. I mean, I've got one going on right now where the bank actually countered the purchase. The buyer offered 60. The bank countered at 68 and asked the buyers to come in with their best offer. The buyers countered back again at their best, which was what their original offer was, and the bank is now evaluating that. So for the bank, in the bank's mind, do they then put it back out there, wondering if they're going to get another $8,000 on a $60,000 purchase? Or do they go forward because they've got a buyer who is a conventional buyer? I mean, they're going to evaluate the type of financing you've got, the down payment, the strength of your offer. How much time is it?
Conventional 20% down.
I would also suggest that you put a high earnest money deposit down. I am finding that banks love large earnest money deposits.
Really?
Oh yeah, we were negotiating on a foreclosure, and the deal I had was not the highest price, but my people had $10,000 earnest money deposit.
And you got it.
And we got the negotiation. We didn't end up. My buyers walked because they didn't get it at the price they wanted. But at least we were the first, and there were five people to pick from, and I know for a fact because I've talked to one of the other realtors that they had a higher price, and their buyer had 20% down, but they only put $1,000 earnest money deposit.
That's interesting.
So I'm pretty sure it was that $10,000 earnest money deposit.
Well, why would you want to put down $10,000 earnest money if you're still going to be out looking at other houses, not knowing if the deal will go through? I mean, that's a lot of money to tie up and basically sit on.
Well, you don't deposit the $10,000 earnest money deposit until the bank's approved of the purchase agreement. So
It's
you're not.
it's on a
Right.
Yeah.
it's
They have to have that money available.
Well, you're not giving that money to the realtor until you have an accepted offer. You don't have an accepted offer until the bank has approved it,
Right, so the bank does, but
not the seller. At least on our purchase agreements, that's how they're written.
Okay.
So
Clear up some things. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
thanks for the call. We love calls. Call in 787-3397. Bill will be happy I repeated that. Time flies.
Yeah, wow.
what did he just do?
2. He gave me the peace sign.
Peace be with you.
Right, exactly. Is that what they mean in church?
So $100,000 mortgage, 30 years at 3.85%, $468 a month. That's good.
Oh, yeah.
That's a car payment.
I've got a 1-bedroom apartment that rents for that amount. 1-bedroom apartment.
For
You know what you-
$468.81.
For $465.
Wow.
So you could get all the house and yard you want. Well, not all, maybe, but you could get a nice house for $100,000.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've got some price reductions. We've got 8036 Sharon Drive is down to $73,900. That's a nice house in Spring Arbor. So it's Western Schools, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. It's on a slab right on the corner of Hendershot and Sharon, and then it has a great side yard. And then 1101 Pringle, bring me an offer. That one's, both of these were short sales, or are short sales. 30,600. That's a 3-bedroom, 1 bath on the corner of Pringle and Wilson, just a stone's throw away from the best gyro. Have you eaten there?
No,
Where?
apparently not. I don't get out much. So.
I think it's called Atlas.
Oh,
It's hard to find their number on the internet, I gotta tell you that. So I wrote it down when we were over there the other day. Mother's Day, we were going there for gyros,
oh,
but they weren't open.
okay.
But anyhow, they call it Z Best, Z-B-E-S-T, gyros. It's on the corner of Pringle and Page.
And I have a listing at 4101 McCain Road, 3 bedrooms, bath and a half on an acre, 1099, really nice place. And 3872 Kirkwood, 1099, 3 bedrooms.
You had an offer on that.
I did, and the buyer was 85 and withdrew it because she needs a condo.
Oh, condos are hard to find in this community, I think.
Go
And
to
then-
thinkingrealestate.com.
Thinking Real Estate. You
We'll be
can
there.
watch this. If somebody missed it,
Yeah.
go to
can watch this.
thinkingrealestate.com.
And I just got an email from Linda asking something, and I will answer that next week.
Next week.